Joint practice has just commenced between the Washington Commanders and New England Patriots. And what a day it was. Wednesday, August 6th. Jaden Daniels and Zach Ertz connection looks strong per usual. Our defense got roasted by Drake May. I think both quarterbacks had themselves a day. Washington's offensive line, especially Laramie Tunzel, were throwing Bama's out of the club, and we had 3 fights. I thought WWE SummerSlam was the other day. One fight included Mike Vrabel being at the bottom of the pile and coming out bleeding, but lots to talk about, even though our media was not saying anything during practice. Let's get to it. What it do and what's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about our Washington Commanders. It's Wednesday, August 6th, and our first joint practice session with the New England Patriots just finished up from Gillette Stadium's practice fields. Washington's media had to be under non-disclosure agreements, gag orders, or something of the like, because all information garnered from today's joint practices came from either B. Mitch and Finley, shout out to Brian Mitchell and JP Finley on their radio show on 106.7, or Zach Selby. All other information about this practice came from New England Patriots media, who were play-by-playing it and giving us completion to incompletion ratios for Josh Dobbs and Drake May through the entire thing. So if you, like me, followed a bunch of Patriots media leading up to practice, you made a good decision today, because our media didn't give us much of a picture of what took place at all. But my guy, Lake Lewis Jr., was there. He's going to be on the show in a couple hours to tell us about what he saw from practice today. So let's get right to it. Early on, Jaden Daniels to Zach Ertz in the first set of team drills. So they did team drills early. They went into individuals and one-on-ones, and then they ended practice on another set of situational 2-minute drill, red zone team drill. From what I've gathered, Jaden Daniels looks like Jaden Daniels. And that's not a surprise to anybody. He looks good in practice. He looks good at games. We won't be seeing him on Friday. We don't need to see him on Friday. There are still opportunities, like Chris Moore had a very catchable ball, didn't bring it in, and Jayden's out there throwing it to Ja'Cory Brooks and Chris Moore with the ones. So needing 17 out there is a thing, but I'm glad to still hear that Jaden to Ertz connection. Debo caught a nice little toe tapping corner touchdown in 7-on-7s. Let's move over to the defensive side. No. Before we get to the defense, let's talk about the offensive line. In individuals and in one-on-ones, Laramie Tunzel and Josh Connerly Jr. looked really good. There was a rep where they said Laramie Tunzel took a dude to the stands. He's throwing Bama's out the clubs and taking them, go sit in the audience and watch practice from the sideline. You love to hear that. Some guys, veterans more specifically, are gamers. They do not care about early training camp practices. Remember when I told you Jacob Martin was flying by him on a Sunday afternoon with all that peak humidity? Laramie Tunzel, as soon as you line him up against somebody on the other team, you see it. Look at him stonewalling the end on this play right here. We didn't get many clips of this practice, so you probably finna see this clip right here run throughout this video, because the Patriots were doing a live stream on their YouTube channel for the joint practice. As soon as players finished stretching, that live stream ended. They cannot show anything. Guys cannot take pictures. Any clips we find from today's practice will be from a fan in attendance. So we're just going off of that. But defense. They was getting their boots smoked today. They was getting cooked in regular 11s. They was getting cooked in red zone. Thank God we ended the practice on 2-minute drill situational with an interception versus their starting unit. So we're going to start with the good. To end the day, Bobby Wagner tipped a Drake May pass to Demario Davis, who they say was wide ass open on the play and for most of the day today. Demario Douglas was getting active on us. Demario Douglas, right? That's his name. Pop Douglas? Yeah, Pop Douglas was popping up all over the field today. Bobby Wagner tips a pass up. Mikey Sanders still intercepted it. And Lord knows our defense needed something to harp on as the practice ended, because apparently Pop Douglas was getting in Mikey Sarenstill's ass at practice today. He was open early, often, and all day. Kayshawn Boutte and Marshawn Lattimore got to fighting after a rep when Kayshawn Boutte caught a beautiful pass touchdown from Drake May over Lattimore in front of the left pylon of the end zone, and they mixed it up. So we had fights between Kayshawn Boutte and Marshawn Lattimore. I think Boutte again with Noah Igbenogany. Yo, we can't be out here losing reps to niggas named Boutte. Players named Boutte and whose production in the league so far has been Boutte. We can't, that's all right. It's practice, yo. Oh, and I want to put that in the proper perspective, by the way. We're going to all, as fans, because it's a part of being a fanatic, we're going to overreact to things in this joint practice, especially considering this is our first like live activity versus another team. So no cheat sheets, no knowing what the other team is doing. We're going to overreact a little bit because it's a part of being fans. But this practice is not a descriptor of how the season's going to turn out. I remember in the rain for our first joint practice last year, the Jets made us look really, really bad. And then the preseason game got here. Offense goes right down the field and score. Like we didn't really find our footing till the second set of joint practices in the Miami Dolphins week of preseason. So we are not going to the Super Bowl or to the first pick of the draft based on practice today. Just felt like I needed to get that out of there because there are some people that are going to lose their mind about what took place on the practice field today. But Drake May in the first set of 11s was 9 of 12 versus our defense. He's finding Mac Hollins, Kayshawn Boutte, Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper. They're getting everything we wanted. Travion Henderson looked good as well. He dropped a touchdown today, a wide open touchdown from Drake May, but you're not hearing much from the pass rush. Also, they're not tackling. We're not even seeing joint practices on the level that we used to see. They're very significantly nerfing NFL practices, joint practices, and all of the like. They're thudding, they're popping, they're not finishing tackles. So take for that what you will from today's practice. Travion and Von Miller got into it as well, and they got into a skirmish that ended up seeing Mike Vrabel jumping on the ground and trying to get in between the players, and he came out bleeding. Like a tables, ladders, and chairs match with the Hardy Boys back in the day. That's fun, man. They even did the little whole huddle pre-practice where they were speaking about how nobody needs to fight. You hit and you practice against your own teammates every day. So when you get out there when you get out there with a whole new team, tempers are going to rise, men are going to be men, and fights are going to happen. So we got Boutte versus Marshawn, Boutte versus Igbenogany, Von Miller versus Von Miller versus Travion Henderson, and apparently Laramie Tunsil was talking his shit as well, man. That boy was out there throwing dudes out the club today. I love to hear about the dominance of Laramie Tunsil because he's our prized possession acquisition of the offseason, and you love getting the confirmation of him looking like as advertised in practice. You didn't hear too much about Jaden Daniels today, other than he looked surgical early on. He hit, I think I seen Ben Volen that covers for the Boston Globe. He covers the entire NFL, not just the Patriots. He was like, this guy is surgical. He never misses a read ever, and he gets the ball out quick. You didn't hear too much about him today, you know? It's business as usual for the guy. He's out there playing pitch and catch to Debo and Ertz because other than Debo and Ertz, Chris Moore, Luke McCaffrey, Ja'Cory Brooks, that's who he's throwing to. No Noah Brown and no Terry. No problem for Jaden Daniels. You're not going to see him in preseason game number 1. You are going to see Drake May and the Patriots starters on Friday. So today's practice was a little bit more important for their offensive side of the ball than ours. But glad to hear that Jaden's looking like Jaden. Ertz looking good in training camp and joint practices tells me I don't need to see Ertz wear a uniform during the preseason. I know some of y'all want like them to get their feet wet and just to get back into the swing of things. Y'all want to see him next week versus the Bengals. I got 20 games out of Zach Ertz last year. 20 games. Zach Ertz ain't seen a full season in a long time. I don't need to take the risk of Zach Ertz not being available at any point because we don't know what Ben Sinnott is. John Bates is primarily a blocking tight end, and that's about all we have as far as a passing threat out of our tight end room. But I didn't hear much about Trey Amos today, which is very good. That means he was not out there getting beat. Mikey was getting beat a bunch early by Demario Douglas, ended practice with an interception off a Bobby Wagner deflection. Love to hear that turnovers are happening because this defense is not going to be a dominant one in 2025. I don't need it to be a top 7 to 10 defense. That'd be great if it did become one. But if they're up there and forcing turnovers, that's all it needs to be. We're not even going to sit here and pretend that we don't know what the stronger unit of the Washington Commanders is in 25. It is wholeheartedly and overwhelmingly our offense. So we already know what the vibrations are. But Marshawn, Mikey, they was having problems with them boys today. And I also love to hear Zach Ertz is out here beating safeties and in coverage still, you know? Zach Ertz is beating Kyle Duggar. He had him upset during practice. Hopefully, when we hear from like the media members' podcasts and their own respective shows, we get a little more context of what our guys were doing because all we really have is a take on what the Patriots players were doing today, the Patriots media were doing today, because Jesus, like none of our media was posting today. Shout out to Zach Selby. I'm gonna pull up Zach Selby's Zach Selby's tweets on the screen real quick because if it wasn't for that, and if it wasn't for B. Mitch and Finley, we would have no context on what was taking place today. But Josh Johnson ends practice with a touchdown pass to Jacoby Jones. That's what's up. Love to hear that. It's going to be the Sam Hartman, Josh Johnson Bowl coming up on Friday night versus the New England Patriots. Oh, and by the way, Brandon Coleman and Jordan McGee and Javonte Jean-Baptiste, we're going to start having to have some hard conversations about injury proneness because I'm looking at last year's draft class. Take out Jaden Daniels. Take out Mikey Sanders still. Brandon Coleman was fighting through shit all season. Jordan McGee was fighting through shit all season. Javonte Baptiste was fighting through things for a good portion of the season. Dominique Hep, you see what I mean? There's a tendency. There are a lot of injury proneness coming from the 2024 draft class. And a guy like Kane Madrano, who actually made a play or two today, could be stealing the lunch money of guys like Jordan McGee and Dominic Hampton at this point because we don't know what they look like in a game uniform. They're never out there with the team. So these things matter more to those type of players. While we get into it and we overreact to what the starters are doing, the depth players, the roster bubble guys, and the day 2 and day 3 draft picks of the last 2 years, days like today mean more for them than they do everyone else in the room. But we're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors at SeatGeek, and I'll be back to you in just a moment. I've been looking to find the best deal on Washington Commanders tickets for the 2025 season, which is why I want to give the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sporting events, festivals, and more. The NFL is right around the corner, and MLB is in full swing. I love using SeatGeek. Recently used it, lock in my training camp tickets. Most notably, I was at the Grand National Tour with my son, Kendrick Lamar, and SZA at Northwest Stadium. SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 through 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And you know I had to come through for y'all using promo code RIO for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code RIO. RIO. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you again, SeatGeek, for sponsoring this video. Shout out to the sponsor. Promo code Rio in the description and comments pinned below. But here we see Jaden Daniels chopping it up with his former LSU Tiger protector, Will Campbell. Y'all remember Will Campbell was the guy who said, I will put my life on the line. I will die to protect my quarterback. Jaden Daniels, man. But good work for both sides of the ball. It's going to be a preseason game Friday. It's going to be good bump for our depth players because the Patriots will be playing starters. They are in year one of a new program, a new regime with Mike Vrabel and company over there, and their quarterback looks the part. I like Drake May. I'm going to continue to like Drake May. Just because we didn't draft him does not mean I don't want to see Drake May succeed. I was very cool with us taking him or Jaden, even though our teams and our quarterbacks are on different stratospheres at the current juncture. I want to see Drake May do well. Drake May was giving our defense hell for the majority of the afternoon today, but take for that what you will. It's joint practice. I would like to hear from our guys because I need to know how some of the younger guys look. I didn't hear the name Jalen Lane or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt said today. You want to know why? Because Patriots media don't know who they are, and we only got information from Patriots media today. So it was like, all right. But I'm excited, though. I'm excited for a preseason game Friday. We'll be doing a watch party starting at 7:15 on Friday. And we're going to be watching the whole preseason game and then breaking it down post-game. Afterwards, we got to get geared up and ready for the regular season on the channel. So we're definitely going to be doing watch parties for the preseason games. The first two, the last one I'll be in attendance for. Drake May in his first set of 7-on-7s today. 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing score in eight plays. His touchdowns were to Travion, Kayshon Boutte, and Hunter Henry, and he ran for 1. Drake May looked very active out there for the guy. But I just love to hear football being played against another team and not just for our own players in practice every day. I didn't hear virtually anything about our safeties. We didn't really get any concrete intel about what our players were doing because we didn't hear from our media. So be on the lookout for everything that John Keim and all of the media members put out later on today. And remember, I will be going live with Lake Lewis Jr. on the channel at 2:30 p.m. today, who was at practice. I'm going to definitely ask him, like, yo, were y'all told not to play-by-play or really talk about practice, or were y'all just locked in because there are multiple fields and multiple things happening at one time? I'll be sure to ask him if anything we missed that we need to know other than Tunzel throwing dudes out the club, Jaden looking sharp early with Ertz. Debo made a nice little toe-tapping corner touchdown drag swag. We don't know too much of what happened today, other than the Patriots looked pretty sharp offensively. And at times, they were getting pressure, especially up the interior on Jaden Daniels. With both guards out, I can definitely see that being a thing. But that's all I got for right now. We're going to go live and we're going to have a more in-depth conversation about it with someone who had boots on the ground at joint practice today. Make sure you sub up to the channel. We're trying to get it to 20,000 subscribers before the season starts. And buy your tickets for Commanders Kings Live. We are over 110 tickets sold. We got under 40 tickets left for the event. August 24th, the day after Washington's final preseason game versus the Ravens. August 24th, Crystal City Sports Pub. Tickets are $45. We'll be opening the doors at 5 p.m. That's all I got for right now. Hail to the Washington Commanders. Until next time, Commander Rio, out.